Something happened recently that made me realize that I can struggle when my manifesting beliefs, spiritual beliefs, don't match my reality. I notice who I spend my time with really affects this. And when I'm around people that don't believe in manifesting and don't have access to their spiritual beliefs, then I'm much more likely to start doubting myself and start looking at the world like it's just this physical plane. Things are fairly random. You work hard, some things work out, a lot of things don't. And to feel a kind of low-grade depression or resignation that life can't be magical. And that really upsets me and surprises me that sometimes around those kind of people, I can't hold on to my beliefs. And in contrast, I notice when I catch up with a friend who believes in manifestation, then I get encouraged and we share stories about little things that feel magical that have happened to us or to people we know. And that reminds me of something so deeply true to me. That's why I also watch YouTube videos to remind me of what I already know is true, but that I can very quickly start to doubt when my daily life is not feeling magical, when I'm not seeing those experiences that I will recount as stories later on. I think that's one of the challenging parts about believing in manifesting, is that you do have moments, days, weeks, months, even difficult years that things aren't working out exactly the way you want. And it's hard to find meaning in those periods. And I've been through a period recently, probably the last 6 months, that I've had a lot of losses, a lot of disappointments, a lot of situations where it looked like a new opportunity that felt really aligned was coming to me. And I felt really excited. I'd been working on my vibration, been doing a lot of meditation, and it finally felt like I was getting that manifesting wheel moving again. And I could feel more like those goosebumps you get when you feel spiritually aligned, when they sort of cut down through to the core of who you are and you feel joyful for no reason. And that's usually that feeling precedes good things happening, because it means your energy field is vibrating in a positive way and you're going to attract something good. But then when it doesn't happen, what are you left to believe? And I know from experience that you can find meaning in any disappointment and any loss, and there often are gifts or understandings that you come to later on, maybe weeks, months down the track. And while that can be really useful to reframe those experiences in the past, when you're going through them at the time, it can be very challenging and tempting to go back to more of a mainstream view of life, to strip away the spiritual, unseen dimension, the magical mystery of life. And I've tried that. I actually have gone through periods where I've tried to become more normal again. And it was just so depressing. I just felt like life had no meaning. And I didn't want to really choose that for myself. And sometimes I do wonder how much what is truth and what is belief, so we just choose. And then I realize it almost doesn't matter, because if you choose a more positive belief, you will have more positive experiences. So sometimes, even when I'm not 100% convinced that there is this ability we have to raise our vibration and draw in positive things, sometimes when I'm feeling a bit more like life is going to just bring me some bad stuff, because we all have good and bad things. But even then, even in those moments, I know if I believe in a bigger meaning to life, the unseen spiritual dimension, that is going to be good for me. Because if I don't, then life feels very meaningless. And so sometimes in those moments, I might choose to believe something I don't 100% believe, because I know it's going to serve me, it's going to make me feel better in the short term, but it's also going to make me be able to take action in my life and decide there's a point to doing things, and that some things are going to work out and the right things eventually will work out, even despite it not looking so great at that moment. So I think I'm beginning to realize how important it is to do little things to keep those positive beliefs flowing. And sometimes I just watch a video by someone that I know is going to remind me of what at my core I believe to be true. And other times it's just really simple things like walking out in my backyard and walking up to the forest and just listening to the birds and feeling a sense of spiritual connection, looking up at the stars at night on a really clear evening and just sensing that I'm somehow part of a bigger universe and there's a broader purpose to life, even if life can feel purposeless during a period where things don't seem to be working out in your favor. And the alternative is terrible. Stopping believing in spirituality is just not really an option for me. I'm not sure if it's an option for you, but it's like cutting off my head or something. It's just, my body's not going to operate without it. And so I need to keep believing in these things. I need to keep believing in what I sense is true, even if my external reality doesn't seem to be giving me a lot of positive evidence at that time. And I noticed something else that's quite helpful for me is to, when I talk to a friend that also has similar spiritual beliefs, if we share little stories of things, cool little coincidences and synchronicities where we feel like we've manifested something just by thinking about it, or someone even we know, it doesn't even have to be about us, and it doesn't have to be about the big, why am I not sitting on a multi-million-dollar yacht right now experience. Often these small things can feel just as magical when they're part of our everyday. And when we're going through a difficult time, it can be very easy to forget about all the cool stuff you've manifested, all the meaningful connections, all the people, the conversations you've had, where you felt just there's been a sense of alignment and synchronicity and finding that piece of information or hearing that story at the perfect time. It's not necessarily about the big flashy, I have this impressive life that I need to show off on social media. But these small moments of meaning where you can feel in your body there's a significance, there's a greater fabric of the universe that's drawing us in a tapestry together. And it's, to be honest, it's been some of those small experiences that have felt significant to me. Bumping into someone and having the right conversation at the right time that's given me a piece of information or a confirmation about something I was thinking about. Those were the things that made life meaningful. Those experiences made life feel truly like an adventure, like I was a character in a story and there was an unknown and a mystery and I didn't know what was going to happen next. And that's why it was exciting. And I think, to be honest, I got caught up in focusing on the material circumstances of my life and forgot that spirituality is not a shopping list and it's not about how perfect your life looks at any given moment. That part of the magic is that we don't know. We don't know what we're meant to do here. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 years of our life. And when I'm feeling good and connected to myself, then that feels exciting. The uncertainty feels like why we're here. For example, you don't read a book because you already know the ending. You read a book because you want to discover the twist. You want to be surprised. And so it's interesting why we tend to go back to this sense of safety and certainty and only want to do something when we can guarantee the outcome. And so I'm now realizing that those disappointments were just those twists and turns in the story. And they weren't mistakes or failures in manifesting or mistaken beliefs I had about spirituality that I had just misunderstood and got so focused on what my life was reflecting back to me, and probably to some extent what I thought other people were seeing in my life, whether they thought my beliefs seemed to be true or were just a bunch of wishful thinking, that I forgot that we're adventurers on a journey and we're supposed to not know sometimes and it's supposed to be mysterious. And that's what the magic in spirituality is. And I keep looking up outside the window because there's this beautiful red and blue bird, a native Australian bird called a rosella, And it's just sitting very still in the tree. And that's very unusual. They don't usually sit there for very long. And so it keeps capturing my attention. And that's also part of the magic and the beauty of life. You know, manifesting isn't just about what car we're driving or what house we live in, but those little moments of seeing something beautiful in nature and having the synchronicity that I'm sitting here at the moment when this bird is in this tree as opposed to being somewhere else in the house, or that my attention is drawn to that bird, and the magic of that happening, and that being a sign that I needed to see to remind myself that spirituality is in the small things, maybe even more so than the big things in life.